What's going on YouTube? This is SG1 Sports and you're watching our college football channel. It's time for my Week 8 predictions. We're going to take a look at 10 of the biggest games for this weekend. And we will start with UCF, Oklahoma, noon Eastern time on ABC. Oklahoma favored by 18.5 points. That's a pretty big number. UCF's not a bad team. You wonder about Oklahoma after everyone's been patting them on the back for 2 weeks because they had a bye week after the big win over Texas. How do they come out? Do they come out with that fire? I think they maybe come out a little bit slow. I think UCF hangs around in this game, but at the end of the day, I think Oklahoma's defense will be the difference. They're just a different defense this year, and I think that'll show up, and I think they'll get this win. But pretty close, 31-20 going to be my prediction. Sooners win. Again, I think maybe they have to come from behind a little bit, but they pull away in the second half. Next up, we got Penn State, Ohio State, game of the weekend, noon Eastern time on Fox. It's the big noon kickoff game. Ohio State's favored by 4. This is one that I've had a really hard time with going back to really since the season has started. So in the preseason, I felt like playing at home, Ohio State a little bit better than Penn State. I felt like they'd win this game. But based off of what I've seen this year, I actually think Penn State's been a little bit better than Ohio State. The question here will be Drew Aller. Is he ready to go on the road in this environment and get a big win for his team? Both defenses, I think, will play really well in this game. These are two of the top defenses in the country, and so I do expect this game to be pretty low scoring. And at the end of the day, though, I just think the Ohio State defense playing at home, they're going to make a big play late, and they get the win. Close win, though, 23-20, perhaps a game-winning field goal at the end, but I'm going Buckeyes here over Penn State. Next, we've got Oklahoma State, West Virginia, 3:30 Eastern time. West Virginia, 3.5-point favorites. This game will be on ESPN. So West Virginia is coming off of a really tough loss in a game where they thought they had it won, and the Hail Mary beats them at the end. And you wonder how they bounce back from that. But this has been a pretty solid West Virginia team all year. Oklahoma State's really been up and down. We've seen them at times look pretty good. I mean, they're coming off of a big win over Kansas. And again, they've looked good at times. Playing on the road, though, tough place to play. I think this is a big game for both teams. But I think West Virginia, home field advantage will be the difference. They get the win. 27-24 my prediction. So again, a very close game there. Next, we've got South Carolina, Missouri, 3:30 Eastern time. Missouri favored by 7. This game will be on the SEC network. Again, with South Carolina, do they give up? Is the season over for them, or do they come out and fight? Missouri has been a little bit inconsistent, but when they've been good, they've been really good. And I expect Missouri to show up for this game. I think it maybe stays close for a while. Both offenses kind of going back and forth. But I think home field advantage, Missouri finds a way to get it done late, 35-31, and a little bit of a shootout here. Really good game, I think, between these two teams. Next up, we've got Tennessee, Alabama, 3:30 Eastern time. This game will be on CBS. The final Alabama-Tennessee game on CBS. Feels like they play on CBS or have played on CBS almost every year since Saban has been in Alabama. But we've seen some great games in this rivalry. Of course, last year, Tennessee pulling off the upset. It usually goes to Alabama, of course. At least in the Nick Saban era. But Alabama favored by 8.5 points. I think this game's going to be close. I think both defenses will play really well. Tennessee's defense much improved from the defense we saw last year. Their offense, though, not as good, and especially with them leaning on the run, I don't think that bodes well against a really good run defense in Alabama. But I think they'll come out. Josh Heupel will have them prepared. They'll have some plays ready, and they'll be able to move the ball in Alabama a little bit. Again, though, I think the defenses win the day here. Pretty low-scoring game, but I like Alabama to pull it out late. 31-27, they get the win. And again, a close game. Next, we've got Ole Miss, Auburn, 7 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. Ole Miss favored by 6.5 points. This is a tough one for me. If you went back a few weeks ago, I probably would have picked Auburn in this game, playing at home, the way they've looked at times. And just go back to that Georgia game and how well they played in that one. Ole Miss at times is a little bit inconsistent, but it seems like they've started to hit their groove a little bit. I don't know, though. I mean, you look at Arkansas had a chance to beat them. You look at the LSU game. They've had some close calls here, and I really think Auburn will be ready for this one. I think they'll play much better than what we saw like last week against LSU. But I just don't trust them to be able to score late in the game if they need to. When the game's on the line, the passing attack has just not been there for Auburn. It has for Ole Miss. I think that's the difference. I do expect a close one, but I think Ole Miss wins it 31-27. to 23. And actually, if you're looking at the spread there, I've got Ole Miss covering, even though I do think it'll be a one-score game. Next, we've got Duke, Florida State, 7:30 Eastern Time on ABC. Florida State's favored by 13.5 points in this one. You know, it's going to be, I think it's going to be an interesting game here. I think Duke's defense will keep this one close. They have a really, really good defense, and I believe Riley Leonard will also be back in this game. But I think Florida State's defense really good as well. So I think it's a pretty low-scoring game. I just don't know about Duke being able to score a ton of points in this one. I don't know if their defense is good enough to stop this explosive Florida State offense. So I think the Noles will score enough here in this one. Pretty close game, 28-13 my prediction, but I do like Florida State to win it by a couple of touchdowns. And now we go to Michigan State, 7:30 Eastern Time, NBC. Michigan favored by 24.5 points. That's a really big number in this rivalry. Going on the road to play Michigan State. Of course, all the stuff that happened in the tunnel last year, how is that going to play out? I think Michigan State comes out fired up, ready to go. Michigan has struggled early in some games this year. I expect a similar story here, and similar to those other games, Michigan will find themselves and they'll be able to pull away and win this game fairly easily. So I'm going Michigan here, 34-13. Again, a game that stays close for a while, but then Michigan pulls away. Next, we've got Clemson, Miami, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on the ACC Network. Clemson favored by 3.5 points. I expected this to be a bigger game. I mean, both teams are 4-2, so they're not bad, but neither team is ranked. And it's a tough one. You know, Miami last week came out, played really well early against North Carolina, but then the Tar Heels pulled away late in that second half. And now, after 2 losses in a row, where is Miami at mentally? I mean, I just have no idea. Clemson has just been kind of quiet after the 2 losses, and they didn't look great against Wake Forest. I don't know. This is a tough one. I really don't know what to expect. I trust Clemson a little bit more. Miami has just not been able to win big games. They did beat Texas A&M earlier in the year, so I give them that. But I think Clemson is ready for this one. I think they go on the road and find a way to win a close one. I'm going to go 30-24. Clemson gets the win, but again, in a very close game. And then we go to Utah, USC, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox. USC favored by 7. This is another game that I've had a hard time predicting because Utah has really owned USC as of late. Their defense has been, one of the best defenses in the country in terms of teams that USC has played. They've done a really good job slowing down USC's offense. Getting to Caleb Williams, getting that pressure, that's the key for Utah, and they've been able to do it in the past. I think they'll do a pretty good job of it here. But the difference this year is that Utah just does not have the offense. I don't think they're going to completely shut down USC. They slow them down. I don't think USC is going to score a ton of points. But can Utah score enough to have a chance to win this game? That will be the question mark. I think it'll be running the football for Utah, but playing on the road against a USC defense that you feel like will play a little bit better here in this game. They haven't looked great this year, but I think they'll play pretty well in this one. Really, really, really big game for USC. A must-win game for them. I think they find a way to get it done. And again, I think it's their defense making some plays against, honestly, not a great Utah offense. But I'm going to go USC 27, Utah 17. Trojans get the win and keep their playoff hopes alive after the tough loss to Notre Dame last week. So those are my predictions for Week 8, 10 of the biggest games. Would love to get your predictions and your thoughts on these 10 games. Let me know what you think down in the comments below.